man spent 20 years finally clearing the last floor of the Nightmare Tower, maxing out all his stat limits and becoming an awakened one who transcended human limits. But just as he prepared to destroy the Nightmare Tower, he discovered that above this 100-story magic tower existed an even more massive world, and the world he inhabited was merely a toy in the hands of gods. Originally, magic towers had suddenly appeared all over the world one day, and countless monsters poured into the outside world, frantically capturing humans. Just when people thought the world was about to perish, the magic tower issued a summons to all of humanity. Only by conquering the magic tower could the world be saved. Those who accepted the summons not only received the protection of an interface system, but also gained items and skills as if they were inside a video game. Thus, they successively entered the inner world of the tower to start the Tower War. However, as the number of tower floors increased, the strength of the monsters grew increasingly formidable. Batch after batch of tower walkers fell one after another. Just as they found themselves at a dead end, the appearance of an item gave people hope once again. As long as it was crushed, one could retain their memories and return to the past. Facing the threat of death, tower walkers overwhelmingly chose to return to the past. But there was one particular team that decided to protect humanity's present rather than its past, until they carried everyone's hopes and reached the 98th floor, where in mere moments, everyone fell into utter despair. Watching his comrades with whom he shared life and death fall one by one, Zai-Huan did not understand why. Could this be their final end? Gradually, his consciousness began to blur. Just as he prepared to give up resisting, the most cautious member of the party used his life to block a fatal blow for him. This scene completely triggered his eruption. He picked up the weapon on the ground once again, determined to fight to the end, even if he had to exhaust his very last ounce of strength. At that exact moment, a streak of white light wrapped around his eyes and onto the boss's spine. Could this be its weakness? With that thought, a sword shadow tore through the void, accompanied by a deafening roar. The boss's spine instantly burst open, and its massive body came crashing down. When everything was over, only he remained of that team. Yet he did not stop there. Dragging his exhausted body, he resolutely pushed open the heavy doors of the 99th floor. When he stepped onto the 99th floor, a world blanketed in ice and snow came into view. The boss ruling over this floor was the legendary dragon from the forgotten continent, Posis. Its attacks were difficult to withstand even with his stats raised to the limit. On this floor, Zai-Huan fought for a full 10 years. Over the decade, relying on continuously accumulated experience and the equipment left behind by his fallen comrades, he survived time and time again. Gradually, however, he noticed that no new tower walkers were appearing, making him realize that the world outside the tower had likely perished. Yet this could not stop his footsteps. Reaffirming his convictions and making full preparations, he once again stood before the ice dragon. Watching this minuscule human appear before him time and time again, Posis could not help feeling a wave of admiration. Since the tower was built, you are the only human who has challenged me alone. You are extraordinary, but unfortunately, you can never defeat me. Facing the ice dragon's taunts, Zai-Huan only smiled faintly. Isn't it a bit too early to draw conclusions? What if I pull it off? After all, even your proud armor is beginning to crack. With that, he raised his weapon once again and charged at the ice dragon. Yet against such a terrifying entity, Zai-Huan's attacks appeared pitifully weak. In mere moments, his body was frozen solid against the wall, and the surrounding ice morphed into the shapes of his past comrades, attempting to drag him into endless darkness. However, this completely ignited Zai-Huan's fury. As the surrounding ice shattered inch by inch, he raised his weapon and charged at the ice dragon once more. His attack remained that same simple yet terrifying straight thrust. Unlike other tower walkers, because Zai-Huan entered the tower relatively late and missed out on many hidden skills, he decisively abandoned other abilities and focused solely on practicing one thing, the straight thrust. After experiencing tens of millions of swings, a move that originally seemed simple could, in his hands, unleash power rivaling a god-tier skill. Even so, hundreds of attacks only left shallow scratches on the ice dragon's body. But this time, something changed. As Zai-Huan met the ice dragon's attack head-on, that same white light that had appeared on the 98th floor boss manifested once more. This time, Zai-Huan did not hesitate. He struck out with all his might toward the direction of the white light. With a roar echoing out, a terrifying hole appeared in the ice dragon's head. However, this failed to deal a fatal blow to the ice dragon and instead completely enraged it. Flapping its injured wings, it took to the air and launched a frantic flurry of attacks. Zai-Huan could only roll his body back and forth to barely dodge them. Amidst the gaps in its attacks, the ice dragon could not help mocking him sarcastically. If there were 10 of you, maybe you could win. It's just a pity that all of them were bewitched by the Nightmare Stone. Otherwise, they might have met a vastly different fate. In the brief moment the ice dragon was running its mouth, Zaihuan seized the opportunity to leap backward out of the 99th floor doorway. Yet the ice dragon's words lingered in his mind, refusing to fade. 10 years later, as the ice dragon's body crashed to the ground, the system popped up a series of notifications. Congratulations on obtaining the title, Fiend of the 99th Floor. At the same time, all of Zaihuan's stats reached their maximum limit. But at this moment, Zaihuan felt not a shred of excitement. He stared coldly at the ice dragon and asked the question that had troubled him for so long. What on earth is the Nightmare Stone? The ice dragon only left behind a single sentence. You already knew the answer long ago, before dissolving into a pool of black water. After collecting his final rewards, the black water on the ground slowly condensed into a gateway, revealing the entrance to the 100th floor. Zaihuan stepped into the final floor without hesitation. However, when he saw the world behind the door, he was instantly struck dumb by the sight before him. The 100th floor was actually a massive monitoring room. On those enormous screens, real-time footage from all over the tower was displayed. Before Zaihuan could even recover his wits, a voice slowly echoed in his ear. I didn't expect you to arrive so soon. I thought you'd go back to the village first. Right after that, the system prompt rang out once again. Congratulations on becoming the first participant in World 294 to successfully clear the tutorial level. At that instant, Zaihuan froze completely. He never imagined that the sacrifices made by humans wave after wave were merely a tutorial level. Looking at that dark figure ahead, anger and unwillingness surged within him. A terrifying wave of energy erupted from Zaihuan's body. Seeing this, the dark figure reminded him that it was best not to be consumed by his own emotions, noting that after all, as a human, being able to make it this far was already quite impressive. Yet as soon as those words fell, the pressure in the room vanished in an instant. Zaihuan stood there with a cold expression, staring intently at the figure ahead. Noticing how quickly Zaihuan regained his composure, the dark figure could not help letting out a sigh of admiration, and then began to introduce herself. It turned out she was the master of the Nightmare Tower, the Nightmare Beast Woman. I've been looking forward to meeting you all along. After all, you are the first human in history to reach the 100th day alone. Hearing the other party's praise, Zaihuan's gaze remained chillingly cold. He bluntly demanded, since what happened before was a tutorial level, does that mean there are official levels ahead? Facing Zaihuan's question, the Beast Woman did not answer. She simply snapped her fingers, and everything Zaihuan had experienced inside the tower slowly emerged like a revolving lantern, with every single scene recounting the grief and anger buried within his heart.